Recently, Uganda came out with some earth-shattering news that they have 31 million tons of gold ore that they have discovered. Now, if that were true, that would be able to more than double the global supply of gold that has been mined and refined throughout all of human history. Is this possible? Yes, absolutely it's possible. However, is this news? Is this announcement about all this gold coming out of Uganda? Is it real? Absolutely not. Ready? Let's dive in. First things first, a word from today's sponsor, iTrustCapital. Now, most people today are aware of how well gold has performed relative to pretty much every single asset class out there. We've seen an absolute crash take place in tech stocks, in the broad stock market, in cryptocurrencies. We are seeing blood in the streets everywhere, but gold has been keeping up. Gold has been increasing its purchasing power relative to these other assets, and many people want to buy it, but the problem is most people have most of their wealth tied up in their 401k, in their retirement account, maybe even with their current employer. So the question is, how do we invest in gold with our money if we can't do it where our money's currently at? And that's where iTrustCapital comes in. Because unlike your workplace employer plan, like your 401k, you're not just going to have a selection of a couple dozen mutual funds that are only invested in stocks and bonds. And unlike your IRA with a regular stockbroker, with iTrustCapital, you're not just going to have access to the regular stocks, the ETFs, GLD, SLV, things like that. With iTrustCapital, you can invest in physical gold, physical silver, that's all held underneath the banner of the IRA so that you don't have to worry about any tax consequences. You can do traditional IRAs, you can do Roth IRAs, you can make new contributions, or you can even transfer money from your existing retirement account over to iTrustCapital and use that to invest in physical gold, physical silver. Now, they also have other alternative assets available like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And if you use my link in the description below, you will get $100 worth of Bitcoin as a sign-up bonus just for opening an account. You can use that to keep it in Bitcoin, buy other cryptocurrencies, or sell it and buy physical gold, physical silver again in your IRA. With iTrustCapital, sign up with my link in the description today. Okay, so the president of Uganda recently announced that they have 31 million tons of gold in the ground in Uganda, and many of you have asked me to talk about this, saying, hey, what are my thoughts on this? And as you can clearly tell by now, I do not believe it one bit, and here's why. Let's take a look at some of these numbers. The first thing that I would like to point out about this is that the government has been seeking to ramp up investment in mining to develop resources like copper, iron ore, gold, cobalt, and phosphates. And so just like any good government does, they're going to create a state-owned company, a state-owned mining company. And this company will compulsorily acquire a 15% stake in every mining operation in the country. Gee, that's going to attract a lot of investors. Now, 31 million tons, that's a lot. And it says that they would be able to refine an estimated 320,000 tons from that 31 million tons of ore. Now, here's where we need to dig into those numbers a little bit further, but first we need to define a few things. Number one, we need to define resources versus reserves. A resource is like the very broad category. So when you're playing a board game like Settlers of Catan, you get a resource card and it says you've got gold or wood or whatever that resource is. It says nothing about the amount of that resource or the purity of that resource. So when you go and you look at a mining company that says, hey, we've got this resource, keep in mind, that's the broad category. That's saying we know in the ground right here, there's gold. That's it. What you have to then ask is, number one, how much? And number two, how pure? Let's say hypothetically we go to the asteroid example. A couple years ago, people were saying, hey, there's an asteroid out there that's made of pure gold, make everybody billionaires in gold immediately, which would render gold worthless, right? Well, even if that were true, which we have no way to verify what an asteroid out there is made out of, even if it were true, that would not have any impact on the price of gold here, because for a resource to be viable, to be able to be mined, you have to look at how much it costs to go out there and mine it and then bring it back. So when you look at a resource and you say, okay, 31 million tons, let's just say, all right, I'll give you that. How much of it is down there? Let's say it's 31 million tons, but let's say it's super deep in the ground and you'd have to dig for miles and miles and miles and miles. And then when you pull it out, you say, okay, how pure it is it? It's not pure enough to be able to refine it at a cost that is above what the current price of gold is. So that would mean, let's say you have to spend $2,000 per ounce to pull that gold out of that ground in Uganda. But you can go on the open market today and buy an ounce of gold for $1,700. Nobody is going to spend the time and the labor and the cost of getting that gold when it costs $2,000 when you can go on the open market and buy it for $1,700. And this is where we get to reserves. Reserves is the total amount of gold that has been proven that we know is there, but again, it's still not viable to pull it out of the ground. Otherwise, they'd be doing it free money. Right? If we look at information from U.S. Geological Surveys from monitor.co.ug, we've got about 268,000 tons of gold that have been discovered in the world to date. Of that, about 205,000 tons has been produced. This means we've got 57,000 tons of known reserves. 50,000 tons of gold that we know is in the ground somewhere in the world that we are not yet pulling out of the ground because due to the costs, whatever costs are associated with those areas, it's just not economical to do so. It's cheaper to just go buy gold from somebody else who's selling it that's already out of the ground. Now, look at these numbers again. The total amount of gold that we've produced so far, 205,000 tons. This means that the amount of gold that the president of Uganda is saying that they can profitably pull out of the ground is more than the amount of gold we've ever pulled out of the ground in human history. So number one, it's so unlikely that there is this much gold there that has not been validated by any independent geologists to date. Number one, the fact that that would be there is so unlikely that I'm willing to say, nah, that's probably not true. But guess what? That doesn't even matter. Because let's say we could just give them that. Let's say they know it's there, they've proven it themselves, and they're going to start digging it out of the ground. Well, guess what? The moment it costs more to pull that gold out of the ground than the current cost of gold on the open market, production ceases to happen, because you can't just pull gold out of the ground for free. You have to pay somebody, buy and create the machinery, and then pay for the energy usage to go pull it out of the ground and then refine it from the ore to its final product and then sell it. So if you spend $1,500 to do that, but you've been doing it so much that you've driven the price of gold down to $1,499, well, guess what? You're gonna stop doing that because every time you do that, you lose $1. So no, this is 100% a hoax. It is fake. It has no bearing on the price of gold, and that's why the price of gold did absolutely nothing the moment this news broke. Because nobody who's playing with big money that has any gold to buy or any gold to sell believed this. It's preposterous, and it's just pure political shenanigans. As always, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.